guessing you got the bandage.
Yes.
Good. I'm sending my men there now. Just make sure nobody...
Cut. Who put a Starbucks cup in the shot? It's fine. We'll fix it in post. Let's roll it again.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rock VFX YouTube channel, your home for accomplished dreams and dank memes. Before I begin, today's episode is sponsored by
Fix It in Post, the only true way to rid yourself of unwanted problems in your edit that never should have been there in the first place.
So let's get right into it and talk about the elephant in the room. No, I'm not talking about the cardboard cutout you still have of Edward Cullen, and I'm definitely not talking about why it's still sitting in the corner of your bedroom. What I am talking about is the
Fix It in Post
problem. You know, that problem that pops up in the edit room after production has wrapped, and all you can say is, "Really? What the hell is that?" Yep, that problem. I'm pretty sure we're all aware of the Starbucks cup in that episode of Game of Thrones, and also the crew member that was blatantly caught in the background of a shot in The Mandalorian. They say money can't buy you happiness. Apparently it can't buy you a script supervisor either. What money can buy you is a copy of After Effects and Photoshop, because that's what we're going to be using today to mask out other people's amazing incompetence. So we have a shot right here that my wife was gracious enough to help me out with. 100% wife material right there. And we see that a Starbucks cup has somehow managed to wander into the shot by accident. Why is it there? I don't know. Who put it there? Probably somebody I'm no longer friends with. But I digress. There are a few different methods, however, that you can use to get rid of this little abomination. The Starbucks cup, not my wife. A, you can use After Effects' new content-aware fill tool, but sometimes that gives you some janky results. B, you could demand the film crew to go back out to the location and reshoot those shots. Highly unlikely. Or C, you could do it the old-fashioned way, which is tracking a clean plate on top of the object you are trying to remove. For this video, we are going to go with the third option, even though the second option sounds like it would be a lot more entertaining. To start, let's create a new composition that matches the settings of your footage. You can either do this manually, like a peasant, or drag your footage over the composition icon to do it automatically. By George, you've learned something already. Now let's scrub through your footage and find a good frame to use as your reference image. Once you found a good spot, be sure to set a marker there so you don't forget where your reference image came from. Trust me, you're going to want to do this. Hit Ctrl-Alt-S or Command-Alt-S for those who overpaid for their computer to send just that frame to the render queue. Select the format you want to save your image as and hit render. Oh, where did I save that?
One eternity later.
Next, let's open up your reference image in Photoshop and quickly duplicate the layers so we're only being destructive to our copy. This will be important later. Now we can start going through the process of painting out your object on your duplicated layer. You can either do this manually by using the spot healing brush or clone stamp tool, but if you're lazy like me, you can just select your object with the lasso tool and mess around with the content-aware fill tool. This might not be perfect, none of us really are, except Ryan Gosling, but you can just use some of the previously mentioned tools to get it into a spot where you don't hate yourself. Congrats, now you have a clean plate. Once you're done, cycle the on and off switch to your paint out layer and make sure the work you did is believable. I might believe you, but Ron Burgundy might not. If it's good to go, hit save and check on your massively successful Twitter page before making your way back into After Effects. Import your clean plate and drag it into your timeline. Now we can track your scene. Create a null object and call it tracking, or Hufflepuff if you're feeling adventurous. Go over to your tracker tab and click track motion. Depending on the size of your footage, your tracker will either be easy to see or it'll be the size of a peanut M&M. If your shot isn't locked off though, you might want to check the scale and rotation options to make sure your track is doing what it's supposed to. Unlike your friend who never pays for Uber rides because he doesn't believe in them. You are not a good person, Todd. Next, place the tracker over a part of the object you'll be removing, scaling it accordingly to fit what you want to track. Just make sure you're placing your tracking points on areas with a lot of contrast, or your track will be slipping and sliding like a Swiffer sweeper. For my shot, I chose the corner of the bench handle and the face on the Starbucks cup because, really, she's just happy to be here. Hit track forward and watch After Effects perform its voodoo magic. Once it's finished, make sure your motion target in the tracker tab is set to your null object. If it's not, you can just click Edit Target and select your null object from the layered drop-down menu. Apply that sorcery and hit OK, because you want to be the very best that no one ever was. Next, go to the point in your timeline where you saved out your reference image. You should have already created a marker for this exact moment. You did do that, right? Once you've located the origin of your clean plate, go ahead and pick whip it to your null object. Now your clean plate is sticking to your tracking data like it's been sprayed down with Trader Joe's industrial strength glue. Set your clean plate to 50% opacity and draw a mask around the object, and possibly the reflections you painted out if you're a perfectionist like me. Then feather the mask a little bit so your clean plate blends into your footage better. Now gaze upon all your beautiful work and see if your clean plate is tracked properly. If not, you might have to go in and adjust it manually to get a better result. Finally, to make your clean plate feel more like a part of the family, you're going to want to add some motion blur and grain to it. This can easily be accomplished by quickly shaking your head back and forth while simultaneously sprinkling sand on your keyboard. But not really. Just duplicate your clean plate layer, add an adjustment layer below it, and set the track mat for your adjustment layer to alpha. Next, add a match grain effect to your adjustment layer and set the noise source to your footage. If you want to see what your final result is, just set the viewing mode to final output. If you feel like your grain isn't quite matching your footage, then head over to the tweaking settings and mess around a little bit. I personally never touch the aspect ratio value because unless you filmed an anamorphic, it's basically pointless, like a quesadilla maker. Lastly, add a pixel motion blur effect above your match grain effect on your adjustment layer. The default settings usually do a pretty good job, but if you want to mess with the settings, then you do you, I guess. Add some moody color correction and you're done. Well, unless someone walks in front of your clean plate, then you're going to have to do some rotoscoping. So, have fun. And that pretty much wraps it up. Now you can say you learned something today. Just be aware that this method doesn't work for every single shot. Really, it should only be utilized on shots in which your object isn't moving in 3D space. With all that being said, if you like this video, let us know in the comments below. Liking and subscribing would also be pretty cool. And it's completely free. That's like a BOGO during the apocalypse, which is, well, so 2020.